Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Rachel and I make new videos every single week on either school psychology or fashion. So thank you guys for tuning in today. And also Happy New Year. Today is January 1st. I can't even believe it's like the new year. It didn't really feel like anything special last night. All my boyfriend and I did was watch the ball drop, but yeah, I don't know, it just feels like another day right now. How about you guys? Let me know how you're feeling about the new year. So for today's video, I am going to be talking all about different jobs that you can be doing while you're in grad school. For me, during grad school, at least my first and second year, I just worked part-time because honestly, I just couldn't imagine working full-time and then doing grad school full-time because I was doing 4 classes. I think it was 4 classes a semester. And then second year we started doing practicum too. And then third year is a full-time internship. So that's really difficult to maintain a full-time job. So yeah, I did part-time work my first and second year of grad school, and I'm gonna share mostly just 4 main jobs. And these jobs relate in some aspect or could relate in some aspect to school psychology. Those 4 jobs I'm gonna talk about first. And then I'll talk about a couple other jobs as well, and all of the ones I'm mentioning either I had during grad school or my classmates had during grad school. So yeah, I hope you guys find this video helpful, especially if you're looking for some part-time work during grad school. So let's get started. Okay, so my first year of grad school, I really wanted to get out of working the old jobs that I had done. So, just for reference, in undergrad, I worked over the summers. I never worked while I was taking classes in undergrad, so I only worked over the summers, and I could not, for the life of me, get a job that I actually liked. So unfortunately, I had to work at Dunkin' for 2 summers. That was literally the worst experience ever. It was so hard and so bad that I quit both summers. So yeah, I was like, wow, I do not have a good work ethic. And then I worked at Old Navy. That was better because it was retail, but still just boring to me, did not relate to what I wanted to do. So once I got into grad school, I really wanted to find a job that related in some way to what I was going to be doing in the future, which was working with kids. So I was lucky enough to get hired at a company where they specialize in ABA. So I worked under different ABA clinicians. I think there was 5 at the place I worked, and I worked under 1 or 2 at a time. And I was considered a behavior technician. So I would go into people's homes and I would work with their children, and all of the kids had autism. So I would do the ABA therapy. So the clinician would plan out what lessons needed to be done, and then I would do them with the child. So I did that for about a year and a half. I started that in the summer before grad school, and then I kept it up until the end of my first year of grad school. And honestly, it was good experience, but just not for me. That job is hard, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Working with kids on the spectrum, and again, it's a spectrum, so I worked with a couple different kids. They were very, very different in their temperament, behaviors, lessons we were working on. So I worked with a couple of higher functioning kids and a lower functioning child. And it was difficult, dealing with the challenging behaviors. I was doing toileting with one kid. It was just not really what I wanted to do. And I was glad to have that experience, but it just wasn't for me for the long term. So it was good to do for a year and a half and get that on my resume. The second job that I highly, highly recommend, this was the last job I had before I became a school psychologist, and it was my absolute favorite job I've ever had. And it's funny too, because I never thought I would say I love a job besides school psych, but working at a neuropsychology office, I thought that was the best. I just got so lucky too with getting that job, because I remember one of the classmates that was in the cohort above me, she was about to go into her full-time internship for the 3rd year. and she could no longer work at the neuropsychology office that she was working at. So her boss asked if she could spread the word to my class and see if anyone was interested in doing testing. So I jumped at the offer because I was one of the only people that wanted to look for a new job at the time, and I was so glad I did. Like, working at a neuropsychology office gives you such good experience. You get to practice all the tests that you learned your first year during grad school, and I learned like 10 other tests. Like, I learned ones that the OT gives, I learned like attention and memory specific tests that we don't learn in grad school. So I really was able to expand my knowledge of assessments by working at the neuropsychology practice. So if you can, I highly recommend trying to work at one of those practices, because a lot of times the neuropsychologists themselves don't do the testing. They hire testers to do it, and if you can, definitely try and work at one like after your first year of grad school, because you have to have knowledge of like the basic assessments, at least like the Wechsler and the Wyatt, I would say, and maybe the WJ. And then they were kind enough to like teach me the rest, and I was a pretty fast learner with assessments. So yeah, that was the best job. And I did that my whole second year. And just for reference too, I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning, but all of my grad school classes were from 4 to like 9:50 at night. So it's 2-hour 50-minute classes. So I had 4 to 6:50, 7 to 9:50, like 3 times a week. So it was great working at the neuropsych office because all my hours were in the morning, like 9 to 2, maybe like 9 to 1. It really just depended on how many tests you were doing that day. So I did the neuropsych office about like 3 times a week. So it was a good balance between work and school for me. And going back to my first year, when I worked as the behavior technician doing ABA, that was 3 to 6 p.m. because a lot of the times the kids went to school because they were older, because they were like typically older than 3. So I would go from 3 to 6 3 times a week. So it was the only days, I would only go on the days that I didn't have class. Just wanted to point that out too. Okay, the third job that is really good if you're looking for part-time or full-time work and it pays some of your tuition is being a graduate assistant. So I had a couple people in my class do this and they really, really enjoyed it. I had one of my friends, she was a graduate assistant part-time for my professor. So my professor would give her different projects, they would do a little bit of research together, and she really enjoyed that, and she got half her tuition paid from being her GA. And then another one of my friends, she worked full-time as a grad assistant. She worked in this place called the Women's Center at my campus. So she would kind of like help to run activities there and just like communicate and collaborate with people. So she really enjoyed that, and she did that like throughout grad school. I think once internship came, she did it like part-time because again, we're doing a full-time internship your third year. So it's definitely hard to maintain like full-time work that year. But she loved it. She did that the first and second year. So if you can, I would definitely recommend doing a graduate assistantship because you can get some tuition paid and you'll either work one-on-one with like your professor or a professor from like another field, like school counseling department. They might hire you as well because a lot of those overlap. So the professors don't only hire just from like their profession. So yeah, I definitely recommend looking out for GA positions because they're typically always available every year. And the fourth and last one that relates to being a school psychologist later on is doing counseling, part-time or full-time. So I had one of my classmates, she was a little bit older and she had already gone to grad school previously. She was a licensed mental health counselor, so she actually did counseling in her spare time. And she was also a professor in her spare time, so she was pretty busy. And then with my program, I got my MA in counseling the middle of my second year. So pretty much halfway through my grad school experience, I had an MA in counseling. And then we had to do like the rest to get the CAGS degree to be a school psych. But after I got the MA in counseling, that is one option that opened for me. I could have done counseling. I know someone that was above me in my cohort, he actually did counseling in the home. So I think he did like family counseling part-time. So yeah, counseling, if you get that MA at least, that is one potential thing that you could do part-time or full-time. And then other things that my classmates also did, one of them ran like a small business selling her cupcakes. She was an excellent baker. One of my friends worked as a waitress over the summer, and a couple of them worked in retail. So we have some things that relate to school psych and then some that don't, but honestly, I would just recommend working part-time if you can. Like, I was lucky enough that my parents supported me through grad school. My grad school was actually a lot cheaper than undergrad. So yeah, since they paid for the college, it was better because I was able to just work part-time and not feel completely stressed. And I know it's not possible for everybody, but I think if you can, if it is possible, work part-time, because grad school is like a full-time job. So I did watch a couple people in my class really struggle because they were just so busy outside of grad school, but you know, it's understandable if that's not a reality for you either. So I hope that these jobs that I was talking about are helpful for any of you guys that are like in grad school or you're about to enter and you also want to work a little bit on the side. I definitely recommend, you know, if you can, work at a neuropsychology office, do the ABA therapy, you know, do counseling if you do get the MA in your program at some point in the middle, or do a graduate assistantship. I would recommend like those four if you want to do something related to what you're going to be doing in the future. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. I make new videos every single week. And until next time, I will see you guys very soon. Bye!